I do want to take a minute to thank Steve Flagg from Integrated IT for joining us today. He is called in, so he is representing the phone vendors. So if I misspeak, I'm sure he can correct, or if I'm not sure of the appropriate answer to any questions you might have, he may be able to take that for you. On that note,
thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Can you hear me okay? I just want to
yes.
make sure you got my audio.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the invite, and I want to say I wish more of our clients had done this. So very good organizing this. So here I am.
Very good.
Take it away.
So with that said, all the attendees, you have the ability to enter into the chat or into the Q&A section. If anything comes up, feel free to put those questions out there. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. And I will also try to keep an eye on them as I'm going through the slides. I do have, I had hoped to do kind of live demos, but I kind of forgot what my schedule was, and I scheduled this training for a day that I was remote. So what I did was I took some videos of some of the functions that we're going to go over, so that you can see how they work. So with that, just a quick overview. We'll just talk about the primary phones that we use in town, how to check voicemail remotely. This is a really big question these days, so just want to review that. We're going over how auto attendants work and what they can do for us. Same thing for hunt groups. Then we'll go into some of the call handling functions. And then we'll close with looking at the Connect client, which includes a soft phone. Okay. So the two phones that we currently use in town are the 230 and the 480. Okay. We have, I think, 3 phones that are not these two. In general, the 230 model was used in the earlier installations, and the 480 has since become the standard phone. Over time, the 230s may be replaced, but there isn't currently a system-wide plan to do so. Okay. Some of the key differences are that the 480 has more programmable buttons, so you can monitor different extensions, have more speed dials, things like that. And it has a larger screen and the ability to review call history right on the phone. So it has some good features, but both phones still work very well. For the purpose of this training, I'll do a lot of, you'll see in the videos that we'll look at the 230, and that was primarily because that screen recorded better. Okay. On all the phones, there's a combination of fixed function buttons as well as what's known as soft keys. These soft buttons are, they'll show up based on the function that's going on, and those are the ones that show up on the screen here. Okay. All right, so the first thing I want to go over is how to check voicemail remotely. Basically, we have 3 options. The first one is we can have voicemail sent to email. So I believe I have that enabled for most users, at least at Townhouse. If that's something that you are not getting currently and you wanted to start that process, just reach out, let me know. I can enable that pretty quickly. And what it is it sends you a recording of your voicemail in a WAV format to your email. It does not remove the voicemail from your mailbox. So you do run into a little bit of an issue that your mailbox will fill up if you're not paying attention to that. But that is one option. The other option, and kind of the go-to if nothing else is working, is you can dial in remotely. What you can do is you can call the main phone number for the townhouse, or any number really that comes up with an auto attendant. And when you hear the recorded message, press star, and that'll bring you to prompts asking you to enter your extension number, your password, things like that. So just follow those prompts. And the final option is through the Connect client, which again, we'll go through that a little bit later. So that's just another option available to us. I just want to double check, make sure there's no chats or Q&A. Okay. All right. So that brings us to auto attendants. Auto attendants are the recorded menus. So when you call into the main number, it's press 1 for the clerk's office, let's say, or press 2 to speak to the building commissioner, things like that. So these are programmable. You can do a lot of different things with it. Each menu has essentially 12 options, 0 through 9. I'm sorry, 11 options, 0 through 9, pound, and star. So we can set those to either go to an extension, go to a voicemail, repeat the menu, go to a previous menu, or we also have options to go to dial by name. So that can be anything from, again, press 1 to speak to the receptionist, press 2 to speak to the director, all the way to, for information about XYZ, press 3, and it'll give us plenty of options. To set this up, generally speaking, what I would ask is that you provide a kind of a workflow of how you want the structure to work. And then in the meantime, kind of develop your script that goes with the with that workflow. You can re-record the workflow, but unless you tell me to reprogram those options, they just won't match up. So it's kind of a multi-step process, but we can certainly set it up in any number of ways. Okay. The next thing is hunt groups. And what this is, it gives us the ability to have a dialed number ring to multiple extensions. And this can be done either in a ring down, so we can set a specific order for those extensions to ring and a number of rings to ring at each extension, or we can have it ring multiple phones at the same time. So we'll use the clerk's office for an example. If we want all of the phones to ring at the same time, we can do a hunt group, and whoever picks it up first, they get the call. On the other hand, if Jim would like calls to be triaged before it even starts to ring to his phone, we can set that up to ring 4 times to Amy's phone and then ring to his if she does not pick up, whether she's not available or on the other line. Okay. And both hunt groups and auto attendants can be set up on a schedule. So we can have on hours and off hours, and there's some ways to work that we can do every other day type things, but we can certainly go through a lot of those if that's something that you're interested in. Okay. Just check my chat. Okay, I'm not seeing anything currently. Okay, so the call handling functions that I just wanted to go over today were transferring calls, parking and unparking calls, picking up a call on another extension, and then we'll talk a little bit about conference calls. Okay. So transferring a call, this is the first video that we're gonna have to do, and I might, give me a minute, I have to stop my share and restart with audio. Hold on 1 second, please. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so this is the first video that we have, and it's to cover transferring a call.
There may be times that you receive calls that need to go to a coworker to be answered appropriately. This is where transfer can come in. You have 2 options when you're transferring. You can do a blind transfer or consult. Blind transfer simply sends the call over to your coworker. Consult gives you the option to talk to your coworker before you connect the original caller. This may be to give a little bit of background, or even just to make sure that they're available to take the call. So let's take a quick look at how that works. So I have an incoming call. I'm going to try to answer the call. And I've determined that I need to send it over to my coworker here. So I'm going to hit transfer, and dial the extension, and hit the transfer button. And that will send it right on over to my coworker. Now my coworker can choose to answer the call, send it to voicemail. And I'm just going to hang up. Now if I did want to do that consult, I'm going to dial my number again and pick up the call. Again, transfer to my coworker and press consult. You'll see the call is on hold here and my phone is ringing on the other side. Pick up. Okay, so the original call is still on hold and I'm able to talk to my coworker. Once I'm all set, I can press yes and it will connect the call on the second phone only.
I'm going to pause for a minute just to see if anyone has any questions around transfer. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing the chat window in the way that I'm looking right now, so I'm only seeing Q&A. If anything's going into the chat, I will circle back to it at the end. Okay. We'll move on here. Oops, sorry. Okay. The next thing is parking calls, and we'll go park and unpark in separate explanations. This is one that I've had several questions on. So.
To explain the park function, I'm going to use the library as an example. Let's say that a call is originally answered in the director's office, but the information that's needed is located at the main desk. You could choose to either put that call on hold, go get the information, and come back to the original call, or you could try to transfer the call to the main desk. But this may lead to some issues with having to rush over before voicemail picks up. Instead, you may want to park the call to the main desk, and this basically puts the call on hold on the second extension. So let's take a look at how that works. I answer my call, and now I've determined that it needs to go over to my other phone. So I'm going to press the park button, dial my extension, and press park again. And now you'll see that it has disappeared from the main phone and it's showing up on hold on the secondary phone. Now if I just pick up, it takes that call off hold.
Okay, so that's the park portion of the park and unpark. If we take a quick look at the unpark.
To explain unpark, again, we'll look at the library. Let's say that the front desk received a call and placed it on hold, and for whatever reason, the call needs to be taken at another phone. While the call is on hold, as you can see by the flashing light, you can go to another phone and press unpark, dial that extension, press unpark again. It'll ask which call. You can press unpark a second time, and now I've claimed that call to this primary phone.
Okay. Any questions on park and unpark at this point? Okay, there's okay. Go on to the last video I have, which is the pickup.
The last demonstration that I want to give to you is the pickup function. This is similar to unpark, except for the fact that it's when the call is coming in and before it's picked up and put on hold. So as an example, the treasurer's office is really busy and one of the phones is ringing. Another employee can actually pick up that phone from their own desk simply by using the pickup function. So I'm going to go ahead and dial my number here. Okay, you can see that the secondary phone is ringing. I can click on my other phone, pick up the extension, and pick up again. And now I've claimed that call as my own.
Right. So that covered, three of the big questions that I've had over time. And now another one that's coming up on a little bit of a regular basis is whether or not we can do conference calls. And the answer is yes, we can, with a limited number of people. And I'm not quite sure exactly what that limit is, except for the fact that I know it takes up a phone line basically for each person that we bring into the call. Okay. So I would try to keep that limited to maybe 2 or 3 people, just for management purposes. Okay. So what you would do for a conference call is when you have the first person on the line, you can press the conference button, and this will put that call on hold while you dial in the next participant. And once you get them on the line, you can say, ready to join you to the conference call, and you press the join soft button on the phone. And like I say, you can do this 2 or 3 people. You might be able to push it a little bit more, but it does start to tie up some resources. If you were looking to have a conference call with, numerous people, then we might start looking at using Zoom or one of the other technologies that we have available. Okay.
I'll just comment on that quickly too, Tom. I just, want to decide when to chime in. Everyone should be able to engage in a 3-party conference without an issue, without any blocking whatsoever. So if we were to talk about an example of that, let's say, for example, I have a call and I need to bring someone in internally or an external party, there should be no problem whatsoever with that. Like as many people, who have phones essentially should be able to do that, minus the outside lines, with your PRI and so forth. So there should be no issue with that. Bringing in a 4th party, that's where the resources get a little sketchy. So I think we should kind of talk about that. If people are really going to engage in having 4 people, including themselves on, then we'll talk about, enhancing resources. But I just wanted to comment, no problem with 3 people total, you and another 2 parties should not be an issue.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. Okay. So the kind of last thing that I want to cover today is the MyTel Connect client. And this includes soft phone if enabled. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop screen share again, and then let's see. Steve, you might be able to answer this question. I have a question that came in asking if there's a limit how long a call can be on hold, and does it go to voicemail after a certain period of time?
That's interesting. See, what'll happen is, there'll be a hold recall, and we can adjust that timer, and we can make that higher if you want. And then eventually, it will recall to the phone and then go to that person's voicemail after so long, and I'm pretty sure that's hard-coded. We can't change that. But, we could adjust the hold recall time if needed. Right now, I'm looking in the system. I think it's probably set for about 2 minutes, but we should be able to adjust it.
Okay, and when you say recall, basically, it will ring your phone
Ring
again,
back to that
essentially, if you've forgotten that you had a call sitting there on hold for some reason.
Correct, which can happen. Or you could be on hold with you could be talking with another party, and then it starts recalling to you. The next one does.
Right.
So,
okay.
That's a very good question. So what we could do is, a lot of times we like to extend that hold recall, but it's usually good to say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll be right with you. Again, I'm just tending to something else, and you would put the call back on hold again.
Right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to share my screen again and now show you the MyTel Connect. And if this is not installed on your computer and you want to use it, again, just let me know. I've been installing it on all new computers that I'm rolling out. Okay. Let me get back to here. Okay. So when you launch, you would see this kind of dashboard, essentially, where it'll show what extension you're logged into, your available state. And I haven't really talked about available states, but those are different states that we can program your phone to act differently. So whether you are in a meeting and you don't want any calls to ring and you want them to go to your voicemail, and we can set all those up for you or work through it as well. Okay. In here you have contacts. I've kind of marked quote unquote my favorites just to be able to see, but I can also right here search for, let's look for, oh, that's in my favorites still. That is the favorites, I'm sorry. Up here we can search for the names. That's where I was looking for. So we can do a typed search and come up with a list that matches. Okay, so I can do here also mark and be able to come up with anyone that matches that. So this is a little bit easier of a search than say the search on the phone, the directory on the phone. Okay, I'm going to do a phone that isn't going to cause anyone else issue. Once you have searched for your phone, the number, you can click on it. And I can actually go ahead and dial this. And if anyone is sitting in my office right now, the phone is going to start ringing. It's going to pick up on speakerphone, my own phone. So this is actually controlling my desk phone right now, the way I have it set up. So you can do just about everything that you can do on your phone through this client. Okay. I can also see my history, my outgoing, my missed calls, my incoming calls. Okay. And if I wanted to, I could come down to missed only. Okay. Or again, I can search by name and see when, in this case, Mark has called me. Okay. Mentioned earlier that you can check your voicemails. Okay. This is where it is. I can click on my voicemail here. I can play the voicemail. I can delete the voicemail, excuse me, to clear up space, so I can manage that a little bit. I can see my date and time, everything like that. Okay. Okay, I had an active call going on. So that's controlling your desk phone. Now, right now with us working remotely a lot, and there was a lot of question about having calls forwarded to cell phones. Prior to really exploring this option, what I was doing was I was going in and setting up a custom state. So up here, this custom, and that I hard-coded the phone number that was being forwarded to. If you're using the client, the Connect client, I can choose external assignment. Right now, this is my cell phone, which I can edit my phone number. Let's say I get a new cell phone, or I can go ahead and add a new phone number. Okay. And it will ask how many times you want it to ring on there. So, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if I set this to a low number, it'll try ringing, in this case, my home number. If I set it to 2 rings, it would ring twice and then come back to basically my local voicemail. If I set that up to call it 10, what will happen is it'll ring and my home voicemail will pick up. So, so that's kind of a balancing act of where you want to get those messages.
And Tom, if I may comment on the pressing 1 to connect, that is key to what this is. When you set it up with pressing 1 to connect, that's asking the user, when the call is transferred to them, they'll hear something like incoming enterprise call, press 1 to connect. What it's doing is it's requiring human intervention to accept the call, to prevent it from going into a home voicemail or a cell phone voicemail. That's one of the concepts of unified communications. It'll pull it back to corporate voicemail, for the ShoreTel/MyTel in the office. But if you have it just as, accept by answering, then, automatically connect, then they will be connected with the external voicemail, as opposed, if you have enough rings in there. I'm kind of old school with the way I do this. I know it's kind of annoying when you hear that incoming enterprise call, but I prefer everyone to come back to my corporate voicemail instead of a cell phone where, hi, this is Steve, you've got to hang up and dial. They could pull back and then enter 0 or do something else. So I typically have the press 1 to connect to do that. that'll allow me to just reject the call, or then and it would go back to its original voicemail. Does that make some sense?
Yeah, and I've had some issues with the Press One that I don't get to it fast enough or whatever. So
That's the drawback, and I can completely understand that. So that's where you would make it automatically connect if need be.
yeah. So so in any case, I can go ahead and add this number. Okay, and now within the client, I can go ahead and choose what number my calls are going to connect to. Okay? This is a great way to manage. If you know that you're going to be out of the office for a day, but you're still wanting to get your calls to your voicemail, that to your cell phone, you can enable this external assignment. So all calls to my desk phone will go to my cell phone when it's set up like this. And that probably explains why my phone started ringing. Okay. Now, the other option is soft phone. And this is a new feature that I've been playing with as of late. Okay. And what that is it turns your computer into your phone, basically. Now, this is only available if you're either on the town network or connected by VPN. So I don't believe that we want to have everyone using the soft phone because I think that might start impacting some performance on our internet connection, but it is certainly something that's available. Now, this is really kind of nice because working remotely, now I can use my computer and place a call and it looks just like I'm calling from my desk. That way there, I don't have to worry about my personal cell phone number being what's showing up on caller ID when I'm calling residents or contractors or whatever the case may be. This provides the opportunity to, again, have your call show up just like your desk number, and it provides a little bit more personal security that way. Okay. Again, this is something that if you're interested in it, you can let me know and we can talk through how you would use it. Actually, as I'm thinking about it, the Connect client also requires you to be on the network or connected via VPN to the town network. So, so it's a little bit more challenging if we're in a reactionary work from home state, but we can certainly work around those things as well. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Steve, thank you for answering that question. I'm going to just
Sure.
on
We could
here
do
as
a
well.
demo if needed. I know that's kind of a, it takes a few steps, but that would be something you'd have to go back to the phones. But,
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't
Fine.
have one in front of me, but we can certainly
Okay.
walk through it. So there was a question about how to transfer a call directly to voicemail, which Steve answered, and it's press the transfer key followed by the extension, and then press the more soft key. Okay? And then it's giving you the to voicemail option. So that is a really good question. That's one that, if you're not getting to that more, the phone is going to ring. But if someone doesn't want to pick up the call, they can certainly just let it ring and go to voicemail. Or another option, which I didn't point out with call handling, is when the phone is ringing, the soft button to voicemail shows up. I believe it's labeled to VM. And if I press that, the call stops ringing and goes right to my voicemail. So it's a kind of quick way to just do a call screening, if you will. Okay. So getting back to the client here, there's some powerful things in here that you can use. It makes it a little bit easier, especially with the 230 phones. Seeing the call history is a little bit more difficult. Searching the directory can be a challenge on both phones because it's, press the 3 key 3 times to get whatever letter that is. You have to kind of type through the alphabet. So this is something you can do. Okay. One other thing I'll show you with the Connect is if I go to settings and that call routing. So when I was talking about the available states, you can actually go ahead and set up your available states here. And there's a little wizard that will take you through the questions and kind of help you determine what settings to have. Okay. And again, specific questions on this, certainly reach out. I'm more than willing to work with you on those things. Okay. I'm just going to go back to my PowerPoint real quick. Oh, and let's see. I can go back there. There it is. Okay. All right. So now there are more detailed documents on both phones available on the Technology Department webpage. It's under, I believe it's user manuals. You know, there's full directions on, you know, how to transfer, how to use the park and unpark. But there's also quick reference sheets, and those kind of give the highlights of what each button is and what the different icons mean. So that's something that you may want to take a look at if that's something you're interested in getting a little bit more detailed information on. So with that, sorry, I will open it up to any other questions that there may be. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share just so I can see my chat. Okay. So there's a question of, do you have to delete your inbox calls or voicemails? Yes. After a while, you will start to get notifications that your mailbox is getting full, and then that it is full. You know, and once you get to that point that it's full, no one will be able to leave a message for you. So you do have to delete those after a while. Okay. I see a comment from Barbara that she wanted some feature, and I'm not sure which one that is, so I will certainly follow up and make sure that we get you set up the way you want to be. There was a question earlier about if we were recording this for other employees, and the answer is yes, this will be available. I'm looking at setting it up in a different way to so that you don't have to register again, because we've run into some issues with that. So any other questions? If I missed something, went too fast, you know, certainly you'll be able to go back to the recording, or again, reach out, send me an email, send me a help desk ticket. We want to make the phone system as user-friendly as possible. You know, Steve, do you have anything else that you think would be helpful to go over real quick?
I think you covered most of it, Tom, there. I just want to, you know, nice job with going over the Connect client. I just want to share with people. It's very powerful, and, you know, we could talk about it for an hour, and, you know, and transferring calls and doing everything. You could actually do call control from it. You know, I think, Tom, you touched upon it, where you can actually have a call and not even touch the phone, do the transfer or conferencing and parking and so forth. You know, I think the best way for someone to really get acquainted with it is to actually use it. That's the one comment that I'll make. You know, you could do a demo for an hour or so, you know, but if they actually, you know, just like anything else, it just takes someone to really kind of roll up the sleeves once it's loaded and look at, you know, all the power that's in it. You know, I particularly find useful is, as you went over, Tom, is using the favorites, the contacts, where you can see the status of someone else, as opposed to trying to program a button on the phone. You can just have your contacts window and see what those individuals are doing, whether or not they're in a meeting or out of office or they're on the phone, which I find very helpful. As well as the recent calls that you went through, because you can search for recent calls and see the duration that you had on there. That's very helpful for the caller ID. Other than that, I think that's it. Yeah, I think you went for the common things with the voicemail access from the outside and the call transfer, and, you know, parking, you know, like you did. Thank you for doing that demonstration. Is very powerful, because what I like about it is, you know, all someone has to say is, hey, you got a call on park. Well, guess what? All you got to know is your extension. If you're the receiver of that call, you can go to any phone, hit unpark, and you got it. So I think that's very helpful from that perspective. So I guess my closing statement is practice makes perfect, and that brings up the intuitive mind to ask other questions. So I think this can encourage people to use the product more.
Yes, very good. All right, so we've hit pretty much where I wanted to be on time. So again, reach out if you have any questions. And thank you very much for joining today.
Thank you.